I had to ask for this stage, otherwise you won't be able to see me. So thank you for facilitating the stage. So guys, I know this is meant to be a round table, but clearly it's not a round table. We've got all long rectangular tables, but truly happy to be here. I founded my company about 30 years back. We've been in Kenya for 30 years, and we service customers in about 27 countries now. So I want to talk today about how what biometrics is in the banking space. So I just want to set the stage, and I think we probably have more of discussion than really a monologue. And please stop me wherever you want to challenge what was being spoken here, or wherever you want to contribute or talk in the same context. So why do we talk about biometrics in banking? Is primarily to curb frauds, not to completely eliminate, but that is a dream, but really to curb frauds in the financial space. So I really want to jump into what is going on in the world when it comes to financial frauds. So I picked up some data from PwC's Global Economic Climate Fraud Survey. So if you see the kind of frauds that are happening across the globe in different organizations, not necessarily in the banking space, but in different kinds of organizations. Organizations that are less than $100 million, the top most line is cybercrime, they're getting attacked from external sources, and then followed by customer frauds, customer frauds with their organizations, followed by asset misappropriation, primarily by their internal staff. And if you see, as we go along, companies that are less than $1 billion are in a similar space. 41% of them are being attacked by cyber frauds. And if we go above the $10 billion mark, you will see the customers are committing the largest amount of frauds in these organizations, followed by cybercrime and then asset misappropriation. Now, if we were to look at the proliferation of crime, of fraud and frauds across industries, now there are different kinds of industries. There's the manufacturing industry, financial services, energies, retail, consumer, government, health and technology, media, telecoms. But I really want to zoom into financial services, which is what is the context of today. So if you see customer frauds, customers are committing 44% of the frauds when it comes to banks and financial services institutions, followed by 38% of the crime or the frauds are being committed by cyber criminals, and 29% of the frauds really account for the KYC related issues. And I think that's where we need to zoom in and see what is going on in the East African space when we talk about frauds, right? Now, I'm going to share some data which is really public knowledge, it's in the public domain, and perhaps most of us have seen this. Maybe we may have missed it. So I think it would be good to bring in this context here as to what's going on in our markets when it comes to cyber frauds, right? So if you look at this news in the East African, the Bank of Tanzania actually warns of sharp rise in digital theft, and that is as recent as March 2024. Okay, so there's a huge rise in financial frauds in the banking space, or in the digital transaction space, where clearly banking plays a major role. If you look at one of our homegrown banks, United Bank of Rwanda, was hit by a huge fraud, I think sometime in December last year, and they lost $10 million to fraudsters. And we're talking about Stanford here. ABSA in Kenya loses 107 million shillings to fraudsters. Now, I'm not defaming these banks, please don't get me wrong, but I think this is all public domain data. This is something that the banks have gone and spoken to the media about, so this is not a secret that's being revealed here. And if you look at one of the technical websites, portals, which really talks about fraud is growing concern for Kenya's financial services sector. I think it's a huge concern for the banks and financial services and insurance industries. So that's and one more thing. Now, if you look at this is as recent as last week or last month, rising fraud. There are so many suits against banks that actually put the banks on the spot for their due diligence processes. Now, what does that mean? It means that clearly there is a gap in the KYC process of banks. There is a lot that needs to be done to make sure that we have a watertight KYC process in the banks, but without compromising the seamlessness of onboarding customers, right? So I think banks obviously need to cut the balance between security and ease of onboarding a new customer into their system. So now, if we, at a very high level, if we look at what is causing this fraud, why is this fraud happening, right? How is it so easy for fraudsters to defraud banks and financial services institutions in our region? Okay? And let me tell you, our region is not very different from the rest of the world. Globally, as you saw, financial frauds are happening. They continue to happen as technology is evolving, as consumers are embracing digital platforms to perform financial transactions. This is becoming a Tom and Jerry game, where we continue to find firewalls to protect ourselves as financial services institutions, and the fraudsters find ways of breaking those walls. So we keep on. It's a Tom and Jerry game, right? I mean, we all have seen the Tom and Jerry cartoon and how the cat and the mouse keep fighting, and the mouse every time outwits the cat. Right? So really, it's a Tom and Jerry game. So if we see now, what is causing these frauds, right? So if we look at one of the key reasons is weak or insufficient KYC. I think this is one of the key loopholes or key shortcomings in the process of banks, where they are really not up to speed when it comes to KYC and onboarding their customers. Clearly, there is cases of collusion. Banks, customers colluding with the bank staff, and there is cases of inadequate internal controls. I think that continues to be a challenge for banks. There are not enough controls internally for banks to be able to curb frauds that are happening on an ongoing basis, and of course inadequate technology to prevent frauds. I think the cost of deploying some of these technologies is a deterrent, and there are internal inertia within the banks to say, okay, if we buy an anti-fraud system, how will it integrate with our core banking? How will it integrate with our channels and so on? So there is inertia within the banks to kind of embrace some of these technologies that will help them to detect and prevent frauds. So how do you deal with these frauds, right? So if you look at KYC, for example, today I think banks are capturing a lot of data of the consumer before they onboard the customer in terms of the identification, the nationality, the name, the date of birth, and so on. And I think if we just add a biometric layer to the KYC process, this will become a huge deterrent for banks to be protected against frauds that are happening due to identity theft. So I know that we have done a lot of work with some of the larger banks here, where we have deployed fingerprint technology for identifying customers, and now banks are embracing face recognition as another mode of identifying their customers. So there is an opportunity for banks to implement multi-modal biometrics. So it could be a combination of fingerprint and face, it could be fingerprint and voice, it could be behavioral biometrics and so on. So with just one piece of technology being deployed as part of the KYC process will make a huge difference in the frauds that are being committed through identity theft. When it comes to pollution, what we've been able to do, and I think what banks also embracing is also creating multi-factor authentication for their internal users. So they're replacing passwords with biometrics. So that is becoming, that is making sure that staff who are colluding do not have the excuse of saying, oh, somebody hacked my password, or I given my password to somebody, maybe he misused it for something else, and so on and so forth. So with the biometric enabled passwords in internal systems, this becomes a huge deterrent for bank employees to collude with their customers to commit frauds. When it comes to internal controls, and as you will realize, these are all interrelated. It's all intertwined into the onset of frauds in banks. So internal controls, again, multi-factor authentication. So you could have multiple layers of authentication and multi-factor authentication for every transaction. So if there's a transaction over, say, 1 million shillings being authorized by a supervisor, then he probably receives an OTP on his email, or he receives a token on his email so that he can authorize it, or he puts his face in front of the camera, or he or she puts a fingerprint in the fingerprint reader. So there are various ways of ensuring that transactions above a certain limit are authorized digitally and not manually. And when it comes to preventing and detecting frauds, there are a lot of software tools available, technologies available for that are AI and ML enabled, which will detect frauds in real time. So, for example, if my card physically is being used at JW Marriott on Chihuahua Road, and in the next 5 seconds or 5 minutes, it's shown up at the airport, the system will pick it up and say, look, nobody can travel in 5 minutes from JW Marriott and do a card present transaction. And so an AI-enabled system will be able to pick up a fraud in real time. So there are tools available and there are platforms available that help banks to curb frauds when it comes to these 4 areas of fraud. Now I want to share a very interesting video which really is a real life story, and it is somewhere from Eastern Europe, and it's an amazing story of how our digital presence as account holders, as consumers, can be abused against us to really defraud us as holders of bank accounts. Yeah, please pay attention. It's not in English, but there's English subtitles, and it's amazing. I think I found this video very, very educated, and from the time I've seen this video, I've actually stopped posting a lot of my personal stuff online, and it's I think it's really creepy, like the world that we're living in. And we've got a lot of these youngsters, and even our age. Sorry, not our age, my age. Yeah, completely different age bracket. So even a lot of my age, people take selfies and checked into this airport and checked out of this hotel and checked into Eiffel Tower in Paris. And I know a colleague of mine who used to do this, and the moment he would say checked into business class lounge at JKIA, in half an hour his wife received a call from some fraudster saying, so you're alone tonight, do you want to go out for dinner? It's real, this is real in Nairobi, I'm telling you, it's creepy. So I think it's important that we be really aware of what to post out there, and so I think this video really opened my eyes, so I would encourage you.
Ieder van ons heeft naast zijn gewone leven vandaag ook een online leven. Mag ik je voorstellen, mijn liefste vriend, Tom de Groot. Tom zit sinds 2010 op Facebook. Hij heeft bijna 700 fans, waarvan er 6 compagnie's. Hij is 35 en een sociale dag in vloer. Daar heeft hij ook Sophie leren kennen. We zijn het geen stofjes. We sturen een phishing mail, zo te zeggen, naar zijn echte bank met de vraag op enkele gegevens te bevestigen. Eens die helemaal volstaat nog één telefoontje zo zijn rekening leeg. Maar ik ben iets anders van plan. Ondertussen kan ik de moeder zo goed dat ik met zijn bankrekening ga overnemen. Zijn leven. Letterlijk. Dat snapt dan. Zo, ik ben intussen een goede vriend. Tijd voor een test. Ja, we gaan dus straks naar kijken in de plaats van het restaurantcafé. Daar stond ik naar huis. Dus ik kom.
Back, Nick! West!
En die kleur zal reageren als hij zichzelf heeft gezegd bij tegen Facebook. Good afternoon, sir. Sorry to bother you. This is Jimmy from the hotel.
Yeah?
Yeah, we got your online reservation for 4 minutes.
I didn't make a reservation.
Vader verleden online kinderen misschien een keer houden. We willen natuurlijk niet betalen. Daar heb je vrienden voor.
Ah, dat vind ik groot. Drugs. Ja. Zat jij nog? Wat is dat? Dus ik heb hier een curiositeit voor u. Curiositeit? Kan er eens wat denken? Hier?
Is dat voor je laatste doen? Dat is nu dat we aanwezig zijn aan het dienst voor de statie.
Ja, weet je. Ik weet dat je gewoon iedere afwerking en dus staat. Dat doe ik mensen.
Eten? Ja, dat is 18 maanden dus.
Wat jij? Simpel.
Ja, dat is een beetje in de rust. Wat wil je dingen, dat is dan niet meer in de vraag.
Ja, ik mag niet meer.
Ja. Ja, hallo. Ik kom dat voor.
Is dat dit?
Ja.
Beste Tom, kom hier. Heel je leven staat online en voor je het weet neemt iemand zoals ik het van je over.
Nee, maar dat is goed. Dat is goed.
What do you think, guys? What do you think? It's creepy, right? It's nothing creepy, and it can happen to any one of us, right? So, yeah, so any thoughts? I think I'm done. I don't want this to be a monologue. So, I'm done talking. I'm done sharing. I really want to hear from all of you. What is going on in your space in KYC? What do you think we should be doing? How do you think we should be improving our KYC process? Or do you think Biometrics is something that can help our organizations to protect our customers and to protect our business?